Welcome back. Let's go straight over to author and columnist, author of Never Again, How the West Betrayed the Jews and Itself, Jake Wallis Simons. Welcome, Jake.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, sorry to keep you. Can I ask you about this extraordinary business of the police have issued an apology. The Met Police have issued an apology for failing to protect a Jewish restaurant in Notting Hill from a racist mob. We've got some footage. I covered this story, I think it was a month or so ago. So here they all are attacking this restaurant, Misnol, in Notting Hill, which is it's part of an international chain. They've got a restaurant in Australia, I think, and they've got restaurants in America, but they've got this one in Notting Hill. It's been there a while. These people were pro-Palestine anti-Semites, frankly, physically attacking this restaurant. And if you look at this footage, you can see the police sort of milling amongst them, just chatting to them, not stopping them. And now the Metropolitan Police has apologised for failing to protect this Jewish restaurant from a racist mob in Notting Hill. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Is that we have a police force that has to apologise for not protecting British citizens from violent attackers. These people happen to be Jews. I think it's probably central to the equation. Frankly, more and more, Jake, I think we see a pro-Palestine, anti-Israeli police force here.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, the police seem to be rather dozy when it comes to racist threats and intimidation towards Jews in a way that they aren't with other minorities. I mean, if you can imagine a black church, for example, or a black restaurant, black-owned restaurant, being besieged by BNP skinheads, I think the police would see what's going on, understand it, and wade in with riot helmets and perhaps horses as well. Not sparing any violence needed to quell those protests, because it would be very clear to them that it's racist. Whereas when it comes to a similar mob outside a Jewish-owned restaurant, they just seem to stand around and allow it to happen. This apology, I suppose, is a small step in the right direction, but I'm under no illusion that they're going to up their game anytime soon. People just seem to be desensitised to anti-Semitism. They don't see it as the same as other kinds of racism, and so they're all, constantly willing to look the other way and allow it to pass.
And these demonstrators, these protesters, they did a big sort of shout out on social media. Come on, we're all going down a Jewish restaurant tonight in Notting Hill to give them hell, which is what they did. They gathered around, they were shouting, screaming, violent, intimidated slogans from the river to the sea with tannoy loudspeakers right outside the restaurant. Now, I tell you what is tragic about this, Jake, is this. Of course, we've been trying to get someone from the restaurant to come on, one of the members of staff, the manager, the owner. Understandably, they don't want to. They're reluctant to do this. They're terrified in case these people go back and they don't get any protection from the Met Police. That's the source of their fear. This is all wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an article, I think it was for The Spectator, a couple of years ago now, before October the 7th, which was about Israeli-owned restaurants in London and elsewhere in Britain. Israeli food is very popular. And their chefs are very talented, and it's one of those great exports that Israel has. And yet many of them have chosen to brand themselves Middle Eastern restaurants rather than Israeli restaurants because they're afraid of mob violence, such as we've seen in Notting Hill recently. I mean, that's no way to live. I mean, shame on Britain that we've got a particular nationality that can't be free and protected enough just to admit where they're from. And they've got to hide where they're from because the police aren't keeping them safe. I'm reminded of that Iranian dissident journalist who was stabbed in Wimbledon a few months ago. He wasn't protected in Britain. And you know where he sought refuge? In Israel. That's where he went to be safe. He wasn't safe in Britain.
Look, it says it all. It says it all. Now, recently I did the story of the Open University rewriting biblical history, if you like, by suggesting that Mother Mary was a Palestinian, where, of course, she's Jewish, as a matter of fact, if you read the scriptures. But according to the Open University, no, she's ancient Palestinian, which is rubbish. An excellent group called the UK Lawyers for Israel took the Open University to task on this, and in the end, the Open University had to say, yeah, sorry, that's totally factually incorrect, so we will change that. Thank you very much. We've got another one of these instances going on. The Encyclopedia Britannica, incredibly, has erased Israel from its map. It's done a special map for children, and where Israel is, they've got a great big, I don't know if they've got a great big graphic saying Palestine. Now, the UK LFI, the UK Lawyers for Israel, have written to Encyclopedia Britannica demanding it makes urgent revisions to this material. But what a strange thing to do. What do you think?
And also, I mean, in that encyclopedia, if you read the accompanying text to that picture, it describes the borders of Israel, Negev the Negev in the south and the Golan in the north, and says this represents Palestine. So it's not like it was a mistake or anything, or printing error. It was done intentionally to erase Israel. I mean, interestingly, the word Palestine is a Roman word. The Romans labelled that region Palestine after they had conquered the Kingdom of Israel. So it was initially designed to erase Israel back 2,000 years ago. And it's been used ever since in that same way. And, you know, the erasure of Jews is something that Jewish people have faced throughout history, physically, of course, with the Holocaust, but also spiritually and in terms of our identity. We saw it with Holocaust Memorial Day being marked without any mention of the identities of the victims, Jews being erased from their own tragedy. And I would just add that the people who are most pro-Palestine, people behind such sort of depravities as erasing Israel, trying to erase Jews and so on, they pose as people who are most concerned about human rights. And yet, on the weekend, we saw a big rally in London for Palestine, allegedly. And who else was it for? It was for the Iranian regime, which has massacred upwards of 30,000 protesters in cold blood. That's where they stand. They're not pro-human rights, they're pro-jihad, either jihadis explicitly or their Western supporters. That's the anti-Israel camp or movement. That's what they represent. And they're also, of course, against the West and everything that we stand for here in Britain. So anybody who supports them needs to get their head checked.
Jake, it's fantastic to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for your excellent time. Jake Wallis Simons, their author and columnist.